Even if your syntax and grammar are near perfect, even if you're eloquent, there's still a good chance you speak with a noticeable foreign accent if you learned a language after childhood. So, why is that? Hello, my name is Christopher and welcome to Ling, Linguistics for the layperson. Today, we're going to talk about second language acquisition post-puberty, and to keep things simple, we'll do so without getting into the critical period hypothesis explicitly, at least for now. So, in the last video on whether bilingual children are indeed smarter, I commented the following on their linguistic skills. Let us not lose sight, however, of the central advantage of bilingual children, namely that they are, well, bilingual, and not only can they communicate proficiently in two different languages, but, and this is key, they often can communicate like a native speaker in either language, meaning the child will have mastered the phonological system, which for reasons I can't get into right now is virtually impossible for a second language learner to accomplish post-puberty. Well, now I'd like to get into that, explaining why this is so through the example of my grandmother from the splendid Hungarian accent video, by far the most popular thing I've ever produced, now with over 113,000 views. So, to begin, most second language learners never achieve native-like proficiency in their target language. Some, however, do, especially educated immigrants like my grandmother who've been forced to communicate in the second language at a professional level for a long period of time. But it's exceedingly rare, although not completely impossible, for an adult learner to speak the language without any detectable foreign accent. And this includes adults coming from a country in which the same language is spoken, like New Zealand and Canada, for example. You can work on your pronunciation and make it such that people can always understand what you say. You may even be able to imitate singular words or phrases perfectly. But the hard truth is that it's very unlikely that in an extended conversation you'll be able to pass as a native speaker for long. Take my grandmother's speech from the accent video, for example.
Very often I've been asked what is my favorite Hungarian dish, and people are surprised that I don't say it's goulash. Most people know about goulash and nothing else about Hungarian cuisine. Well, my favorite dish is chicken paprikás, which in Hungarian is paprikás csirke, and my favorite soup is a cold chilled soup, which is cherry soup, megyleves. The other thing I want to mention that why do my grandchildren call me anyu? Actually, anyu means in Hungarian mother, but it's very difficult to pronounce nagymama in English, so they refer to me as anyu, and I like that name.
Certainly you can understand everything she says, and I know she even uses who and whom properly, unlike most Americans. But based on this speech, you wouldn't for a moment think my grandmother grew up in the United States, which she didn't. She emigrated from Hungary after the uprising in 1956, then in her mid-20s. And of course, this goes without saying, if I moved to Hungary now, nobody would ever think I grew up there, regardless of how proficient I became in Hungarian. Consequently, over 60 years have passed and still my grandmother speaks with a heavy Hungarian accent. Her pronunciation is very different from even her own children because they were born here. Listen again to the way she articulates the voiced and voiceless dental fricatives, the th sounds in words like other and nothing, respectively.
Most people know about goulash and nothing else about Hungarian cuisine. The other thing I want to mention that why do my grandchildren call me anyu?
You see, these are very rare phonemes, appearing in just 4% of global languages, and as a result, many English learners like my grandmother have a lot of difficulty with them. In this 90-year-old's case, Her non-standard pronunciation from the 1950s has undergone what's known as fossilization, meaning her accent is essentially fixed and no amount of speech instruction would have much of an impact on it at this point. But that's fine by me, of course. After all, without it, I could never have made my most famous video. And I should mention here that many people enjoy their accent and see it as integral to their identity. Moreover, many accents are viewed as cool or attractive or intelligent, so please don't be ashamed of it. We just want to know why they happen. There are other linguistic factors, of course, that impact how well an adult learns a second language, including something called transfer. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, a Spanish speaker learning Catalan, a very similar Romance language, would generally have a much easier time with it than with Ukrainian. Likewise, a Russian speaker would presumably have an easier time with Ukrainian, also a Slavic language, than with Catalan. This is called positive transfer. But there are also ways in which an adult's native language can actually interfere with his or her target language, which is known as negative transfer. For example, I've observed a Spanish speaker learning Portuguese mispronounce the new words as if they were Spanish because they looked so familiar on paper. Thus, despite the positive transfer of similar grammar and conjugation, studying such a closely related language might require the unforeseen challenge of unlearning pronunciation habits, of memorizing sometimes how to pronounce the same word in two different ways. And this is another factor that contributes to adult language learners speaking with foreign accents, the specialization of sounds in one's native language, which people are accustomed to from birth, can actively obstruct the acquisition of a new phonology. Let's go back to the TH sounds from before. Because they are so uncommon and difficult to produce, many English learners like my grandmother naturally replace them with more familiar sounds from their own language, like the S, Z and D sounds. Listen once more to how she pronounces nothing and other.
Most people know about goulash and nothing else about Hungarian cuisine. The other thing I want to mention that why do my grandchildren call me Anyu?
In summary, acquiring a second language to the point of bilingual proficiency is a tremendous undertaking, especially as an adult, and a number of factors contribute to how successful a learner will be, including age, which we'll get to more tomorrow, intelligence, memory, motivation, environment, experience, skill, the native language, and there's probably some raw talent mixed in as well. But if you wish not only to speak, but to sound like a native, well, good luck, because that's the biggest challenge of all. Alright, that's it for today. I promise we'll finally get into the CPH tomorrow. But for now, please leave a like and comment down below if you're enjoying this series. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. My sources as always are in the description, and with that, thank you so much for watching.